Did you get in?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I think I've done it. Okay. The only thing is, am I?
Okay. First of all, we've been told to turn off our Wi-Fi. I'm not sure why, but I will start.
To avoid competition with the system that's relaying your.
All right. Okay.
Relaying your picture.
Okay. Done? I have done mine. Okay. How are you? How are things? MashaAllah, see you. It's been a long time since we had a brown bag from me. So alhamdulillah, today I'll try to update you on many things that have been happening in the last few months. Inshallah ta'ala. And I will try to take 20 to 30 minutes to do my presentation, just updating a few things, so that I give you the second half of the session, like half an hour or so, for you to ask any questions you want. Because we haven't had brown bag for a long time, you might have a lot of questions that I have not covered here. So feel free to ask anything else other than what I have put in here. Right, these are the few things that I've picked up to cover during our session today. But as I said at the end, any other business, anything that's not covered here, and you're wondering what's happening, are you hiding it from us, Nasser? Tell us a bit more, and I'm happy to do that, inshallah ta'ala. Right, starting with the HR system. I just want to tell you a bit of story before I go to the HR system. Last year, Shiraz, you're in trouble now, and Dr. Crossan came to me and said we need a risk register software, and also we need a compliance software for the microfinance project. So after one or two meetings, I pushed them to go for the big compliance software that banks use as well. So let's use this one. It will cover everything we need, including incident reports and other things, and we can produce reports and so on. And Shiraz was reluctant, but I think it's because I'm the boss, I managed to be forceful. You know, normally I'm very nice and soft, but sometimes you have to push. And he accepted and walked out so that we go for the big system, and we can use it for microfinance, and we can use it for internal audit, risk register, incident reporting, and so on. But then a week or 2 weeks later, Shiraz came back to appeal. He said, Brother Nasser, please. He said, this system, no one is going to use it. It's so complicated, and we don't have the culture of using these systems and populating the right information. Let's go with a smaller one called JCAD. And once people get used to it, then we move on to the bigger one. So I upheld his appeal, and I said, OK, khalas, we'll go. And Dr. Crossan can go with the big one because he needs it specifically for microfinance. When I was putting this update, I remember something. He said, I think it's, Shiraz was very right to say that, because the simple HR system we have, we are struggling to use it properly, because the information we have is not complete. Most of you have not completed your personal information. Okay, HR, I think, sent an email, said 13th of February was the deadline to just update your personal information. Some of you have done, but many of you have not done. So a simple system like this, and we are struggling, and we are not digital yet. And myself with Mohammed Zubair keep talking about digital transformation and how we become a sort of a digital organization. If we cannot cooperate and feed in the information into the system, there is no way we can actually become a digital organization, and we'll be left behind, and will be very inefficient and very expensive to run. Records of sicknesses are incomplete. One or two divisions, especially I think finance, are very, very good. Other divisions don't even tell us if they've been sick or not. So we don't even know how much it costs the organization and how many days of sickness we have. Okay, so the paperwork time, I don't know how you are reporting it, but since we had this system, we populated whatever we have for the entire 2017, and some divisions are almost zero. But finance seems to have been very good in terms of updating the records. So we can't analyze anything. So this is very, very difficult to move to a digital sort of platform with this HR and other systems if people cannot cooperate and just have a bit of discipline to do that. By the way, HR told me, and I did it myself as well, but you know, to update your personal information does not take more than 5 minutes. And yet, we sent an email. Then I sent email to the directors last week. I said, please get your heads of department to talk to the managers, talk to the individuals, chase them to update their personal information. And then I'm telling you here today as well. So for simple things, it's costing us money just even to chase people to do it. Now there is a legal requirement by 5th of April we have to publish the gender pay gap analysis. I'm sure you've heard of it. Currently we can't do because the personal information of some of you is not there. Yeah, so so please update it. That's a legal requirement. At least tell us your gender. So you can see the challenge we have. Even the legal requirements are now. Is it you, Yasmin? Maybe you have not updated your personal information. That's the men who have not updated it. Okay. Now it will take about 2 weeks to prepare the gender pay gap analysis. Oops, what have I done? So if we don't have the information by 1st of March, we will struggle because obviously that might have few information that have got wrong information, whatever it is, and HR needs to chase it. But we need to have that whole month just to make sure that we've got the first report properly done and then publish it. So can I give you a deadline by 1st of March, and you promise me that you will update your personal information? Possibly by the end of today, because it only takes 5 minutes, but at the latest by 1st of March. Okay? Everything that is in there, please complete your personal information because it will help us a lot. Okay. Right. Office space. I know you received an email from Brother Nasser Rafiki. We are running out of office space. We're growing. So it's good news. But obviously this building is not good enough for us. On temporary basis, this area will be converted into an office area. And thank you to Muhammad Tariq and his team, they have agreed to come down and occupy this area until we relocate to Trafalgar House. So we will not have any conference room areas, but Muhammad Tariq is looking into prefabricated sort of containers or office space to put them somewhere in the warehouse, so we can continue having our brown bags and big meetings. But that means we might lose some parking spaces as well, unfortunately. So which means that you have to be early all the time, have to come 8:30 and leave 5:30. First come, first served. Okay, last weekend, not sorry this weekend, but just over a week ago, the trustees have finally approved that we refurbish Trafalgar House and we can relocate there. It took few months and few reports to convince them, but alhamdulillah, we are done now. Now it's up to Nasser Rafiki and his team to start sorting out things, and I will be working very closely with Muhammad Tariq to refurbish Trafalgar House. For your information, Trafalgar House is roughly twice the size of this building. Am I right, Muhammad Tariq? Yeah? Twice the size of this building. So we have quite a lot of space in there, inshallah. So it should be quite spacious, and we could have good designs if Muhammad Tariq allows it. And inshallah ta'ala, and it will be a very comfortable area, a place to work. We will do consultation, staff consultation. I will ask directors to do through divisional meetings. So in your divisions, you can discuss your requirements, your wish list, if we can afford them, and then they will be fed to the BOD, and obviously we'll make final approval on sort of on the design and facilities we can provide, inshallah ta'ala. Is that okay? Okay, I will move on, inshallah. So that's good news at last, isn't it? In terms of how long it's going to take, I have no idea. It depends on Muhammad Tariq and his builders. Muhammad Tariq, roughly? A year. So, there is a car park. It won't be enough, and we have some ideas. I'll be discussing with Muhammad Tariq to provide a bit more parking space, inshallah. Obviously, yeah. Oh yes. Right. Okay. My contract finishes in March or April 2019. So good luck to the next CEO. Okay. Governance update. I know some of you are new, some of you obviously all here have been long time. The governance reform plan that started in 2014 is basically to move Islamically from trustees, self-appointing UK-based trustees to international trustees that are represented by partners. Okay, but it is a bit more complicated than that because a lot of agreement has to happen between the partners and IRW how this family will be governed. As a result, we developed the new constitution for Islamic Relief Worldwide. It's completely different because instead of having just trustees, you will have an international general assembly which will elect trustees. So in the constitution, the members are actually the different countries. IR USA, IR Canada, IR Germany are the members in the constitutions, and then they are the ones that appoint the trustees. So we have a new constitution that's been drafted, and also we have what we call a membership agreement. It's basically everybody signs up to that agreement. This is how we are going to conduct our business as an Islamic Relief family. This is being consulted with all partners. We've had feedbacks. We've got a bit of challenges and hurdles to overcome, but hopefully that we will be able to meet most of the requirements of the different partners' sort of demands that they put in the agreement and what we need to change. And also the draft constitution is being finalized to be shared with the Charity Commission, because we have to register Islamic Relief Constitution with the Charity Commission to say to them, okay, this is the way we are going to be seen in the future. This is how we're going to be governed. And the Charity Commission can give us a feedback. And then once we got their feedback, we can update it, and then we formally submit it to the Charity Commission. So I'm hoping maybe sometime in April we can give the Charity Commission the documents. They are aware of our of the changes that we want to make, but they will have to look at the whole document and then give us a feedback. And if everything goes all right, maybe towards the second half of this year, we will register our new constitution, and we will have our General Assembly meeting in August or September. We have what you call MAC, Membership Accreditation Committee. It is not been set up yet. So our Board of Trustees will act as the MAC for now. Basically means is that based on the membership agreement, based on the criteria we have said, who is going to be a member of the Islamic Relief family can attend the General Assembly, and who is not a member, based on the criteria that has been agreed. But in the future, after the General Assembly is sort of formed, set up, and they will elect or appoint a group of people, some independent, some from the General Assembly, to form what's called MAC. And these are the ones that are going to monitor, okay, the performance and the conduct of all the family members. And if they breach any of the policies that are agreed within the membership agreement, you can even dismiss them from the family. So MAC will do that, but usually MAC will follow all the criteria and then recommend it to the IGA. But until MAC is set up, our Board of Trustees will act like MAC. Okay? Is that a bit heavy? Yeah, but hoping, if we manage to do it by September 2018, then we are on target, because in 2014 they said this project will take 4 years to accomplish, and we seem to be almost on target. There are some challenges, and we'll find out around maybe May, June if we can have this meeting in September this year, inshallah. Now, the next one used to be a very hot topic, but nobody talks about it nowadays. Is a designation UAE and Israel. With UAE, we do not have any progress, and we stopped actually taking legal proceedings because it was quite difficult and very costly, and we didn't get anywhere. So we actually stopped it. We are not taking any legal action with UAE. We are just waiting for something to happen, inshallah. With Israel, is moving on. It's very slow. We've had our first hearing in November, what's called an advisory committee. It's moved on from the court to advisory committee, the law change in Israel. And we seem to be making good progress, inshallah, but we don't know when it will be over. It's the legal system in Israel we just have to follow, and we have to wait, and we have to produce documents. They have to produce documents, and we have to argue, and so on. As you know, sometimes these things can take years and years. This is our 4th year now, and we don't know how long it's going to take. Finally, in terms of DFID, they did an audit in 2016, and it took a bit of a while to get some agreement with the DFID. Say, okay, you've audited us, we are clean. What next? Okay, and I think we are back normal, alhamdulillah, with DFID. They said they've accepted the report and everything is fine. You may have heard it. This happened a few months ago, but I haven't had a brown bag, so I just said, in case you don't know, our relationship with DFID is back. We can get funding. We can everything as normal. Right. UK separation. I don't think I've updated you on this, have I? You know, we said in our strategy, and a few years ago, there was a decision to actually separate UK from IRW. So we'll have two legal entities in the UK, one called Islamic Leaf UK, one called Islamic Leaf Worldwide. But later on last year, we were advised, maybe you want to do a bit of feasibility study before you separate, because there are consequences of separation, and you might not be ready for it. This was advised by some charities who have gone through this process, and they find themselves in big trouble, or they're trying to now patch things because it was not ideal to do that. Some organizations who heard of the separation doesn't work, they just gave up, they don't do feasibility study. I spoke to one of them, said, we've heard of all the horror stories, so we decided to stay one. Anyway, we went halfway, so we decided to do a feasibility study. We hired 2 consultants, and what they noticed is after interviewing all of us, I said, look, the reason you want to separate is all internal drivers. It's to do with internal issues, nothing to do externally. Neither your donors, nor your government or regulators, so there is fundraising regulator or charity commission, want you to separate. There is no legal requirement for it to be separate. It can be one entity. Okay? Your donors just don't see you separate. It's Islamic Leaf. Who knows IREK or IRW? Nobody. Okay? Externally is one. So it's all internal issues that have, you know, sort of driven you to go to think of separation. What they're saying, yes, there are issues. IRUK can probably grow if it has more autonomy, if it has sort of certain autonomies and decision-making and powers. But that can be addressed through an internal reform, that you don't need to have 2 separate legal entities. So the other part is that IR Worldwide is reliant on Islamic Leaf UK's unrestricted funds. Okay, unrestricted funds give you a bit more power and flexibility to do what you want to do, and sometimes you might have a gap filling, you might have a deficit in some of the projects, so it's easy to do it. With our partners, because they only pay us 7%, okay, that 7% alone is not enough for any unforeseen circumstances if you want to do gap filling. We are working with partners on what we call a revised business model, and we have made good progress, alhamdulillah, recently, but that might take another 6 months or a year before we implement it. That will help us, obviously, not to be reliant on IREK funds. But for now, the consultant said, look, if you separate IRW will be the biggest loser as well. Without any unrestricted funds coming to you, you will not be able to operate properly. So, giving all these reasons, they recommended that you have an autonomous setup. So IREK have some sort of an autonomy, and this will be halfway to a full sort of separation at one point. Okay, so do full autonomy. This autonomy set up with an advisory board, which will be chaired by one of the trustees, okay, can make most of the decisions for IREK and grow IREK, but still remain one legal entity with IRW. 3 years down the road, we can review it. Okay, if IRW has sorted out its issues of unrestricted funds and the business model is agreed with partners and things are working fine, then we can look at it. If the issues have not been resolved and only separation will resolve them, then we can look at it. But if things are fine and there is no need for separation, then we might stay together. So the review is just after 3 years. The advisory board, as I said, is going to be sort of, we are recommending most of the advisory board members, or all of them, should be from UK, because they know the UK, and because the international board is different, but a UK board should be based on UK. And then obviously that it can make most of the decisions. And as part of that, we'll be looking at what we call shared services. What are the services that IREK has to rely on IRW, and what are the services that IREK can outsource them from others? As an example, legal, payroll, pension schemes, all these are shared services. You cannot separate them in an autonomy setup. So they will be done by IRW and charged to IREK. But other services like their marketing, fundraising, and other things, they can outsource it from whoever they want, and they can do whatever they want. So this, as part of that, we have the same consultants will be doing some more work now to actually oversee the implementation of that autonomy setup. Inshallah ta'ala, and you start about 1st of March, and it might last about 3-4 months. There is additional issue that IRUK is not represented as the International General Assembly because it's not a separate legal entity. That's been discussed, and we have few proposals. Once it's approved, I can tell you, inshallah ta'ala, how IRUK can attend the International General Assembly like USA or Canada or Germany. Currently, there isn't any mechanism to do that because they are part of IRW. Okay, quite a lot to grasp. Okay, what's the time? Because I want to give you enough time to, okay. Email breach. I'm sure you've heard of it. If you're like me, you might have been affected as well. And it was quite unfortunate, and whoever done it, we'll go after them, inshallah ta'ala. We're doing all we can. But obviously that it affected a lot of people, and maybe reduce our confidence in our IT systems, in our data protection, and many people got worried. Obviously, definitely there was a weakness in the system and how it happened. IT, under the leadership of Mohammed Zubair and Nasser Rafiki, they're looking into all these things and how this should not happen again. So far, what we know is that the breach seems to be limited to certain user accounts and emails being sent. We're doing more research, but currently it was about 65 people received about 35 emails. Or is the other way around? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. 35 emails were sent to about 65 people. Obviously, some of the emails, the link chat and other things between two members of staff were not in line with our values, were not acceptable. And it's actually very sad to actually that people have gone that far to put these things in writing as well. HR have given the advice to Nasser Rafiki, and the appropriate actions have been taken against those individuals. And if this happens again, obviously that the consequences will be much more severe. I'd like to apologize to obviously those people who were affected by those emails and those who received it. When I sent my initial email about the email breach, I didn't know about the details of that issue. So my email was talking more about the breach and how we are going to obviously to block the system and obviously close the accounts and the loopholes. But later on, obviously, I obviously learned the extent of the damage of the emails that were sent. Obviously, some individuals were talking about me as well, and a copy of that email was sent to me from the link chat. Maybe those individuals don't know that I received that, but I forwarded it to ICT, and I said, okay, seems to be this wants to be one of the breaches. I don't want to take it personal. Most important for me was, how can we stop this happening again? So I would not talk to the individuals who were talking about me. It wasn't that bad, I tell you. Shall I send it to all staff? I can read it. But whoever did it must have had a bad intention to damage the organization's reputation or the individual's reputation. But inshallah, we'll come out stronger and better, and we hope to have confidence in our system better. And I'm following it up, obviously, closely with IT on this issue. And it has to do with IT and other departments. So obviously, I'm talking to all of them and say, look, how can we not have this again? I had to report it to our trustees, and our trustees were very, very upset. And they want some assurances, and I'm not sure what assurance I can give them. I said, look, let us do some more work that we are doing. We had to hire external consultants to help us on some of the highly technical issues. And then I said, I'll come back to you with a report, and I'll come back to you with some assurances. So that's how bad it is. But I'm sorry for those who are affected and those who have received emails. But at the time of sending me email, obviously, I didn't know the extent of the damage. And we didn't, actually, most of us, even IT, were trying to figure out what was happening. Right. Safeguarding. I think it is I left it to the last one. This is the last one in my presentation. And deliberately left it because maybe you have more questions on this one than any other topic. Almost 2 weeks since the news about ex-Oxfam staff and unacceptable behaviors in Haiti was sort of published by the Times. and then followed by a lot of other allegations and a lot of other news. General sector is not only Oxfam staff, but how bad the sector has been in the sort of in the misconduct and misbehavior of many of the aid workers. Obviously, Islamic Relief, like any other aid agencies, we do not accept such behaviors, and we should not tolerate them. And we have to do whatever we can to stop these people being recruited in any organization, even after they leave Islamic Relief or other organizations. And this has been a major issue for all organizations, and they're looking into it. If this type of people leave one organization, we should stop them from working in any other aid agency. There is a big legal issue behind it as well. It's not easy to solve, but it is a wake-up call for us, first of all, and for the entire sector. Okay, do we have our systems and policy processes in place? Do we really seriously believe in acting properly and going after those individuals who are committing this misconduct, and obviously disciplining them, fully investigating it, and if necessary, if they're found to be guilty, dismissing them from the organization, and keep that in the record so that they are not re-employed by the organization. And then also, if we can, they are not working in the sector anymore. So as a result, obviously, that I have asked Brother Khalil to sort of do a wholesale review of our policy systems and our actions. And obviously, I'm happy as well to hear from you individuals if you want to talk to me privately, if you think you have some ideas. Some of you have already spoken to me, how we can improve this, and if there anything we can do, obviously, to stop this type of people working for IR or working in the sector generally. So definitely it is a wake-up call. And obviously that it will be a challenge to many of us to review these things and obviously to put them in place. And we'll go through the learning curve. But what we have done is we are working with other agencies to make sure we have similar standards and systems so that we are not left behind. Alhamdulillah, the sector has come together stronger. The EC and DFID wrote us letters asking some assurances, asking for certain information, and we have provided this information to the relevant bodies. And obviously, if they have further questions, they can ask us. But we've made with very tight deadlines, but we've managed to do it. As I said, we are joining forces with other agencies, and you might have seen even the bond statement on Friday that we signed up. And there will be a summit next week, 5th of March. Bond, DEC, DFID, and many of the aid agencies will be attending. There might be further commitments in there as well in terms of safeguarding. I sent an email last week just introducing some interim measures whilst we are reviewing our entire safeguarding processes and systems. And obviously, once that is completed, obviously any other additional measures that we see and whatever we commit at the 5th of March summit, all will be incorporated, inshallah. As part of that, obviously, as a board of trustees, I had to update them, obviously, what was happening in the sector and what Islamic Relief is doing. And the trustees obviously decided they wanted a lead person within the board of trustees as well to oversee this issue. And Sister Lamia was appointed as a lead person. And for the executives element, I appointed Brother Khalil. Brother Khalil is not the person who's going to investigate, or if you have an issue, you go and see him directly, although you're welcome to see him, okay? We'll put the right mechanism in place. We already have Sister Neelam for child protection and vulnerable adults. Where is she? Yes. Who oversees all these issues. We have HR who do their part. So we have the various departments. But what happened is that when on the 9th of February, the Times article came out, and then we were discussing over the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I just realized there is no one place to get all that information. So I sent a WhatsApp message to Khalil. I said to him, you need to speak to this person to collect all that information. Then I said to myself, okay, we don't have a central point for all this. It's spread between different departments. Okay. That was the idea, came in and said, okay, let's put Khalil as a lead person so all the information comes in from the various departments and various individuals. So we have a central place where we keep all this information and records. That is the idea. It is not the idea that if you have issues, you have to go to Khalil. You can actually go to other individuals. You can send an email and so on. And then obviously we might, as a part of the full review, we might have a dedicated safeguarding individual who would look into this. But again, as the head of governance, who is communicating with DFID, who is communicating with DEC, and also with the Charity Commission, Khalil would be in the best place now to lead on this project. I think one most important thing is that many of you have been in the organization for a long time. And for us, when we are doing the review of our policies and process systems, your feedback will be highly appreciated. You know the culture, you know the people, and you know how we've been working. And your advice, your support will be important because we can't just go and review a few paperwork and so on if we don't know how the organization has been working. So we will need your feedback and choose any mechanism that you want. You can feel free to speak to me, to Khalil, send it to the safeguarding email or any complaints email. Whatever way you think that you can participate, you can do that. But we have some ideas to capture more of your suggestions and comments as well, inshallah ta'ala. But meanwhile, feel free to talk to me if you want to, or if you have any concerns, talk to me, talk to Khalil, inshallah, and we'll address any concerns you have. Right, I think I've managed to do it in half an hour because there's quite a lot. A little bit, eh?
Just over.
Just over, okay, inshallah. Okay, that was quite a lot, quite heavy. Please feel free to ask any questions you have. It doesn't have to be a part of the, I'll put this maybe the main heading, so if it helps. Okay, or anything else. David, yes?
Right, so I have just something to add to the safeguarding. The root of this whole thing, and it's Oxfam as well, starts with the standard of the delivery of their responses in the country. And so Oxfam in particular became quite sloppy with their standards. They stopped, really doing it properly, and that leaves them open to abuse. That's where it starts. It's not the parties and stuff like that. It starts with delivering stuff in the field, doing it properly according to standards, and maintaining these standards. As soon as you stop doing that, and you start taking shortcuts, or you start just thinking it doesn't matter, that's when you are at risk of abuse. And I think we also need to understand that it's not just about hiring, although that's important. It's not just about process, it's about maintaining standards and making sure that we are doing things according to the way they're supposed to be done. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, thank you. No, excellent. Obviously, the focus has been mostly on the field, and I agree with you. Obviously, standard of delivery and following all the standards is important. But even at international offices and in UK or other offices as well, our staff, and our volunteers also have a duty of care as well. We have a duty of care to obviously protect them as well. So we need to look at that thing as well. But obviously, that mostly the biggest misconduct has been in the field. I agree. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I think I'll second exactly what David's saying there
Yeah.
as well. I think I agree completely with that. I would maybe sort of go slightly higher as well, and this is an issue across the sector, which we have seen that there's almost the ethics of what we're doing, the mission, that's gotten lost at some point along the line.
Yeah.
And especially as Islamic Relief, and I mean everyone, but for us to have faith-based values as well, we need to bring these back in somehow and to inform what we're doing, that it's not just about sort of coming, doing sort of 9-to-5 job, it's actually fine, we've got family time, we're going.
Yeah.
There's a broader mission why we're doing this, there's the ethical imperative. So we need to bring that back in at all levels as well. I think that's one thing that I think at some point it was lost. And like, so I've been here since 2004 I started volunteering. And I've seen that slowly be eroded everywhere. So
Right.
that's something that needs to be done.
Bring our values back and remind ourselves and see how we are living again.
Yeah, not just putting them on the wall.
No, I agree.
It actually means something.
What does it mean to us?
Yeah. What it should mean to us. And so how we should behave.
Okay, Sharitan. Okay, Shaheen and then sister, sorry, forgot your name. Robina. Because I don't see you that often, you see, you don't come.
Okay, thank you, Brother Nasser, for sharing your commitments. I do believe that there should be a designated safeguarding department within the organisation, such a large organisation like this. That could fall fall into three categories. One is the field, and one is the partner offices, and one is volunteers. Within the UK, there needs to be DBS checks carried out. Within Europe, you have a similar system. The other thing is also all HR references should be checked and make sure that individuals say who they are. Again, I mean, people can be registered on sexual offenders register list as well. That needs to be followed up. There's lots of systems in place that can work around this and work on this. I mean, I've been a designated safeguarding lead within and worked with the Office of the Police Crime Commissioner on this kind of stuff. And it's important that you have safer mechanisms in place and mechanisms that can't break, and trusted individuals at the head of these mechanisms.
Jazakallah, a very valid point. If I can only comment on DBS, I know last year one of the NGOs wrote to DBS and said we just want to do sort of like a wholesale DBS for everyone. And they were rejected. They told them only with individuals that are going to come in contact with children that you do normally DBS. But that's all being reviewed. Thank you very much. And we will be reviewing ourselves as well. Who should have DBS, who should not have DBS.
No, that's equally for volunteers as well.
Yeah.
Because when we think of the vulnerability of volunteers that come into working with us, it's really important that we get to the heart of the source as well.
Yeah.
Volunteers don't volunteer just because they want to volunteer. There are other vulnerabilities around.
Correct. Yeah.
Around that as well.
Yeah, thank you for the HR references. Definitely, I've made a note of it, but it's quite a big area now within the sector. We are talking about it as well. So, inshallah, Sister Rubina, Ruby.
Islamic belief is implicated in any way. Would it be possible to actually advise this stuff first, rather than find out from breaking news outlets or something
Right.
like that? Still, that would be really important.
Okay, thank you very much. So far, we have not been implicated. We've had very busy 2 weeks period, myself, Martin, and Khalil, especially by the board of directors as well. But so far, nothing has come out that we know. But obviously, we'll let you know. Definitely. Thank you very much. Dave, sorry, Phil, did you raise your hand? No? Okay.
Do you already have a system in place to like protect who can give references and
Yeah.
who is valid and that kind of thing? Because it seems these people are bouncing around organisations.
Yeah.
Then obviously somebody is either telling a fib or finding the facts or something's going on.
Yeah. There are some legal issues with references. As you know, obviously the famous one is the Oxfam one. The person left before the investigation was concluded, okay, and he resigned. Now, as a result, legally, you cannot say anything because there is no factual information to say this person was obviously found guilty of doing X or Y, Z, obviously. So what Oxfam did, I don't know if you watched Mark Goldring on the interrogation with Select Committee. He said, look, we wrote to the new employer or new organization saying that he worked during this period under this position, but we cannot give any more information for legal reasons. So they have provided now. It's up to the new employer how they interpret this message. For legal reasons, we cannot give you more information. Especially that they could not have said this person is guilty of this, was found to be this because he resigned halfway. So that's the challenge they have. In addition, sometimes there are weaknesses within the HR systems and the HR referencing that obviously even internally we are looking into it. So, okay, Sarah, next.
To pick up on that, just a clarification.
Yeah.
Are HR references allowed to include things regarding misconduct? That something like a misconduct activity was detected and recorded? And in particular, with the new emphasis on safeguarding, will we be able to say that this person was subject to a safeguarding incident without declaring what that actually is?
No, I think if it is factual, you can get away with it. But if it is an opinion, it's going to be a big problem. And that's where the legal advice we are trying to get on these things. I mean, if somebody was disciplined and found to be guilty and was dismissed, and you provided that, even if they try to sue you, maybe have a way of protecting yourself. But if it is a bit of an opinion, then you've got a problem. Oh, this person was under investigation and he resigned. What are you trying to say? You might find it very difficult to defend yourself. We have a lawyer here if you want to ask him on these things. Okay, Sarah.
I think part of the issue with the whole sort of sector scandal and referencing is an authorised individual providing references as opposed to an employer's reference. So there's a difference between a personal reference and an employer's reference, but people providing those references when they haven't gone through the HR channel.
Yes, that has been part of that problem as well. Yeah, it came across that as well. Yeah, individuals in the organizations giving reference to friends that didn't go obviously through HR. Maybe there's an opportunity to tell you, look, if you want to write a reference, I've done it, by the way, before this scandal. I mean, about 3 years ago, I was asked a reference about someone, and I said, look, I will give a personal reference, but nothing to do about the organization. So if you want to give a personal reference on personal capacity, make it clear on the form, okay, and then do not put your position in the organization, because this is a personal reference. So I cannot give a reference and write, say, oh, this is all personal and other things, and then at the bottom I put CEO Islamically worldwide. It doesn't work. So if you want to give a personal reference, make it clear to the individual and to the employer, I'm giving a personal reference, okay, you know him on an individual basis, and do not mention your organization or your position.
And that means you can't do it via an IR email address.
You should not do it via an IR email address. You should do it your personal, is completely personal. Just remove your position, other things. If the individual insists, tell them then you need to go to HR. Sorry, what was it? Ruby, you asked a question, haven't you? First. You got another one. First, let me go to Salah then first.
A separate point.
Yeah.
So my understanding, maybe I misunderstood in your initial, when you came in as CEO, directive with cost cutting, downsizing, and now it looks like we're on the growth again, and spending a lot of money on the Good Build project.
Yeah.
Does that mean financially everything's good? You will smile, be happy?
Good question.
Good question. Okay. No. You said something. You said something, and I'm trying to remember whether I said that or somebody mentioned for cost cutting or anything. When I came in, there was already some decisions on cost cutting. I was not appointed to say, look, okay, you have to create cost cutting and other things. Well, I came in and we had some financial crisis. Basically, our reserves were very low. So we tried to maintain it, and there was a decision when I came in already that to start doing redundancies. What actually we did that we stopped the redundancies, alhamdulillah. We even gave pay rises, and then we even reviewed our salary scales. Now, financially, I would say we are not out of the red, actually, to be honest. We are not in the black, as they call it. But we have improved a lot, and we are hoping that if we get our business model right, the main part is our reserves. In terms of demand of work and the amount of work we do in terms of our income is growing. But our reserves, because we have a policy of 7 months now, recently been reviewed to have it for 5 months, that it has to be within that limit, and our reserves were going down. We've managed to stop, obviously, the decline, and we've increased it a bit. And we are hoping by the end of this year, we will be on target on our reserves. So doing that with our business model that we will agree with partners, we will not have that issue. There will not be, I think we need efficiencies, but not cost cutting. Basically, if there are 3 people job that can be done by 2 people, we want to do it, and then we can find a job for the 3rd person. Okay, we still have growth, and we can re-employ them, we retrain them. So if there is waste, we want to reduce it, but not cost cutting as such. Did you get the message? Okay. For financially, we are okay eventually. Let me put it that way. Ruby.
Yeah, following on from Sarah's point, the staff member resigns before the investigation is concluded.
Yeah.
Should it not be a moral duty to inform the other organisation if they're still within the sector that, this is why they resign?
Yeah, that is Khalil.
I was just going to say, because there seems to be a lot of concern about references, right?
Yeah.
And it might be just worth saying that the issue of references is much bigger than IRW. We can't resolve it within IRW for all the things we'd like to do, like tell other organisations and make more clear the person's behaviour. The problem is there have been lots of cases where people have then sued the organisation. So, and that happens even as far as positive references. So organisations are very reluctant to now provide positive references because of the inference that other people have read into it. But as what we are doing, and I think just to sort of reiterate, fundamentally the only people that can give staff references are HR. That's been in this position. That's been something that HR have instituted, and we all must stick to that. So if anybody requires you to give a reference, the first response to that is you have to channel it through HR.
because there are certain things that HR can do and that we are seeking to do, which is to make clear where there has been misconduct findings, we can say as much. And then we can also make a judgment. So in the circumstances you're saying would be where if there's a very serious concern, even if it hasn't been resolved, we as an organisation can assess that risk. So it's not a blanket approach, but we can. But it relies very much on every single staff member ensuring that if ever there's a request, it has to be managed out of HR, because otherwise we lose grip of it. Equally, for us, when staff come to work for us, it's also really important that we get as much information as we can. And it's a struggle, that's the truth. But luckily, the sector's realised it, and one of the things that they're talking about, and which hopefully will come out of this, is some sort of passporting system. So particularly for overseas staff and people working in the field, that there might, and in emergency situations, that there might be a requirement to register, so people don't just move from organisation to organisation. So it's a concern, not just in the sector, but actually externally, but we're really consciously trying to find a way around it. But at the moment, there's no easy answers.
Okay, that can help. I thought, you want to ask a question? No. I thought you raised. Okay, okay, Shaheen, thank you.
So, again,
did you raise your hand, Neelam? Okay, after Shaheen. Okay, Shaheen.
So, in light of the email breach,
yeah,
is the email address that you've on safeguarding a safe email? Sorry, just asking. It's a valid point, considering.
That's a kind of an unfair question.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, if you have somebody in the field who really is going through something, and they have something that they really want to say, and you have to bypass managers.
Okay.
I want to make sure that that.
Okay. Let me tell you, ICT did identify the loophole for the email breach, and that's been blocked. So as far as we know, currently, all our email accounts, including safeguarding, my email, your email address, everything is safe. Okay, but we're doing more work to make sure that this doesn't happen again. If there are any other loopholes, obviously, you know how IT people work; they always try to find loopholes and other things. And for your information, the one who obviously is very interested about data protection is the ICO, the Information Commissioner Officer. I don't know what happened last week or the week before. Their website was hacked actually, and people were okay. So, Phil.
I just want to
please.
On that. It's a fair question, but it's also unfair in the sense that all emails, in some senses, can be exposed depending on the source of the breach.
Yeah.
And the major source of the breach, for many hacks of varying description, are ourselves.
Yeah.
And there has recently been a request for everyone to go on there. I think it's CyberSafe to get some training on that, to avoid phishing attacks. We've had a lot of people reporting those, so thank you for that, because that shows a raised level of awareness. So we can all help in this. And if you ever think an email has been compromised, raise it with ICT. We'll check it straight away. We take this very seriously, especially in this year with GDPR and so forth, where it's becoming a European issue, European law issue.
Neelam.
I just wanted to respond to Shaheen's comment about volunteers going through DBS checks.
Yeah.
All volunteers are required to go through that at present. And we also came across some volunteers under the age of 18 who volunteer for Islamic Relief, and for them they're required to have parental consent and a set allocated time. My second point or clarification is, our mechanisms can only be as effective if people bring complaints to us or cases to us. How are we going to be able to address any concerns around confidentiality? Because there does seem to be an issue around that. And how can we rebuild the trust within the organisation for field staff and staff at IFW to raise any concerns or complaints in a sensitive and confidential way?
You've touched a very, very important point, the issue of trust. If people don't have trust in our systems, in individuals, they will never report these issues. At worst, if they have no alternative, they will remain with the organization until they find another job, and they will continue to suffer. Or they will just move on and go somewhere else to work. But the problem will not be solved. The biggest issue that I found in Islamic Leaf, and it's not in one department or one individual, information leaks frequently and a lot. And I'll give you an example of the email breach itself. The email that was sent to a group of people. Even as a CEO, I didn't know the details, but I found somebody else who is not an executive of the organization actually knew the details of that email. Okay, so you can imagine how information is being leaked. Okay, even someone who does not have an IR email account knows what happened and knows the details. Now, when that happens, those individuals who are leaking, you are actually betraying yourself before betraying others. Tell you why. Tomorrow, if you're the victim, okay, you will not trust the system. And when others are victims, they will not trust the system. Nobody is going to give you information. So why can't a confidential information remain confidential? Why is that this Chinese whispers between me and you, this happened? Okay, just only to someone just to go there and say between me and you, this happened. A few months ago, someone came to complain about an issue. And he told me, X told me, Y told him, Z told him. This happened. I went mad and I talked to all people and actually said, MashaAllah, even you know the narration of the hadith, you brought all the people. Wallah, I said, brother, you know, to that extent, and the individuals are here, maybe they are laughing. I said, look, even tell me who told you and who told him until we go to the source. So I knew all the people in the chain. I said, what an amazing organization. If this is supposed to be so confidential, and even if you leak it with the names of people who told you, right? I went to the bottom of it, and I had to sit down with a person and talk to them. You know what was their defense? Everybody knows about it.
Apart from you.
Apart from me. So honestly, I tell you, the issue of trust is there, or lack of trust, I would say. And if you are volunteering to disclose information, okay, in confidence to another colleague who is not supposed to know about this, remember your information will be leaked that way as well. So you're betraying yourself before you betray others. But that means if we have any issue of safeguarding, nobody is going to go to Khalil or to HR or to Neelam or anyone to tell them, because they know the next day the information will be all over the place. So why should they tell you? They'll just move on, leave the organization and go until they find a job. Maybe they will suffer and stay with you. So it's up to us, all of us, including me. If we do not share confidential information, except with those who are concerned, who are dealing with the case, then there will be confidence in our system, there will be trust in us, and people will come forward to raise their issues and we'll deal with them. And we'll have a better environment and better culture. If we keep leaking this information, okay, then that problem will remain that way and we'll never have an organization that we aspire. In fact, it's actually contrary to our values. It's contrary to our values. So I don't know. And this is one of the most difficult things. No system, no policy, no process will fix it, because it's individual behavior. Okay, and it's not easy always to catch exactly what happened and who leaked it so that you can discipline them. It's a nightmare. All you know is that the information is out there and everybody's talking about it. So it is our responsibility, starting with me. Either it's confidential or not confidential. So if it is confidential, keep it yourself and keep it with those who are dealing with that case, who have been trusted to deal with that case. Anyone else should not know about it. I'll give you an example. Legal were approached about the email breach. Can you tell us more information what the Islamic Leaf is doing? And who's done it? Wow. And obviously legal said, look, we don't disclose information. This is up to us. But I was surprised that people go to legal and ask, what do you want it for? Even when we know to the individual who did it, at what time did it, and so on, do you think we're going to tell you? We'll deal with them, and we'll make sure they don't do it again to anyone else. But we will not disclose the information. So why are you keen to go to legal or to HR or to whoever try to find out? The most important is Nasser, what are you doing that this doesn't happen again? And have you obviously, and have you dealt with those people who are obviously concerned, and obviously whatever they did, whether the email breach or the link chat, whatever it is. That's what you want to know. You don't want to know who did it. You want to know that they've been dealt with. So my call to you is an opportunity. Please do not leak information. Only share it with those who are dealing with that case. Nothing else. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't know how much I can talk about this, but it's up to us now. It's up to us. Anything else? Sorry, I feel sad, but because I am sad, and this issue has been raised with me. And since the safeguarding issue came, I sat down with some people and told me, look, there might be issues, but nobody's going to tell you because there is no trust. Information gets leaked. Nobody's going to talk about it.
I think it's about agreement values. I think the point you made there, I think I completely agree with it. You said we all need to do it, starting with me, you.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes from as well.
Yeah.
You see that almost values come from top down.
Yeah.
Values are not something we do just to keep the plebeian masses at the bottom quiet. It's something that's role modeled from right from the top.
Correct.
That's where it needs to come from.
Inshallah. I'll be speaking to the board of directors as well, and this is something we are going to look into. And if you have any ideas of how to improve our values, obviously living our values, not, as you said, not.
It's living.
Not
it's not
okay.
just improving. It's
living our values. If you have any ideas, suggestions, feel free to email me, talk to me, inshallah ta'ala. It's a project we are looking into. Anything else? I thought somebody raised their hand, or am I wrong?
Is there a sexual harassment policy under safeguarding?
Under safeguarding, we have Ritu.
So there is some work being done in that area. So I know we've been involved in looking at
Sorry, can't hear you. Can you come here? No.
There's some work that's being done, Shaheen. Obviously, you've had some involvement and some support from you in relation to the sexual harassment statement that we were working on. But what we're doing now is working with the head of governance to look at the policies and procedures more holistically to see actually how can we best safeguard the organisation in relation to sexual harassment is one element, but there are many other forms of harassment which as an organisation we want to make sure it's very clear that all forms of harassment for Islamic Relief are unacceptable. So we're with the head of we're ready to publish, which will be soon. We'll publish all the information out to staff so that they're aware of what the policy position is on that.
Thank you.
Is there going to be a consultation on that?
There will be Khalil. Where is Khalil? Just left.
What we'll do is obviously there's some areas that we'll need to work on straight away and we need to get that information out fairly quickly. Some areas about our position on us being very, very clear that harassment is not acceptable in Islamic Relief doesn't require consultation. There will be other elements in terms of the processes, procedures. How do we make sure that people can raise the matters in the most appropriate way, in a confidential way? How can we make sure that we're supporting people to do that? Those kinds of matters that will require some consultation. But what we'll do is, like I said, we're having a discussion with the head of governance about the policy procedures and we'll look to see what the best way is to put those.
What's happening is Khalid is initially meeting the concerned individuals like Neelam, Ritu, and so on. And then as a working group, they will obviously develop the processes, how they consult people and how they do it, obviously, eventually to publish all revised policies.
So
but there will be expertise, external expertise. Whatever we need, we will definitely hire external expertise. But there will be a team from IRW looking into it under the leadership of Khalil. And then any expertise we need or consultation we need with the staff, that will be done at a later stage. As I said, it is a wake-up call and is an opportunity for us to invest and sort it out once and for all. Anything else? Great. I knew most of the discussion was going to be on safeguarding. That's why I left it last one. You're not interested about office space, are you? Okay, thank you very much all. Thank you very much.
Everyone keep that.